Okay, so my name's Beth Bertula. I'm a visiting fellow at the Stanford Center for Ocean Solutions, thanks to the executive director, Meg Caldwell, who many of you know. But in my former life, I was in the Alaska State Legislature for the last 15 years, 7 of them as minority leader. Why I'm at Stanford is to help work on the interface between policymakers and the facts and science around the ocean. All too often, we're voting with very little to no information, or we're reacting out of sheer politics. I had a bill 2 years ago on ocean acidification and could only get one hearing on it because people didn't believe it was happening. So this is the glacier in Juneau, the Mendenhall. Some of you may have seen it before. It's receded about 2 miles since I was born. You used to be able to ski into the front of it, and those rocks you couldn't see at all. So in Alaska, we have a very personal connection with climate change, with the issues all of you are working on. And it's been a joy to be here today. I've learned so much, and I'm very eager to continue to work with you. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now we have Bob Nogler from Analyze Corporation.
Okay, I'm Bob Nogler with Analyze. I'm going to try not to read all this since you all can read. What we're doing is Analyze is an organization of folks that like to work on problems. So we're a problem-based organization. We specialize really in motion and geospatial analytics, behavior analytics, which is of interest to you all. The big reason that we're here is we're doing a lot of work with trying to identify fishing behavior. We have a connection with SpaceQuest, and we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow when I get to give a presentation. But what we did was when we got a hold of all this this AIS data and started to look at it, we asked, how can you tell if a vessel's fishing out on the sea? Well, AIS, since it's a voluntary thing, if they say I'm fishing, you would know they were fishing. But we said, what happens if we try to figure that out just by looking at the motion of these vessels out on the sea? And what we found out was, in fact, you can identify who is fishing. And we've done this at a high level so far, but sort of a base plan of who's fishing. So we can identify based on longitude and a timestamp who is out on the oceans fishing. What we're going to do and where we're now going is to expand this work. We believe we can also start to identify other types of fishing. And other types of fishing activities I'm expanding here. But the reason I'm excited to be here is that we're looking at AIS data and fishing vessels now, but we would really like to look at any of the other things that your data has out there. So if you have some types of data where you're looking at tracks, we'd love to look at those tracks and see if there are behavior things we can identify.
Yeah.
I bring ingredients from the Silicon Forest, where we're still trying to make game into a bird. We haven't quite gotten there, but we're trying. I work in a building named after William Gates. I check out my books from a library named after Paul Allen. I came to the University of Washington about 20 years ago after retiring from the Coast Guard. I had a joint appointment in the School of Law and the School of Marine and Environmental Affairs. I'm also director of the Arctic Law and Policy Institute at the University of Washington as well. What I'm working on right now probably doesn't relate directly to this crowd, but we're working on the Polar Code, essentially analyzing maritime safety, environmental protection measures in the maritime code. Because we have a very large deep water fishing fleet in the state of Washington, that will probably be the first to fish in the Alaskan waters if they open up the Alaskan Arctic waters. We're also looking at those issues as well. What I hope to get out of this, I'm always on the hunt for student paper topics. I put this slide up because one of the things I try to school my students in, for the first 10 years I was on the faculty, they all wanted to write new laws. I'm of the opinion that we probably have plenty of laws out there. Many of them are not effectively enforced, so we moved to this, away from the mandate to the compliance factor, trying to build a compliance culture, and looking for 1% solutions to try to make things better. Thank you.
Very much. And now, welcome Gail.
Good afternoon. My name is Gail Filter. I have a quick question for you. How many of you have actually prosecuted criminally an MPA case. Okay, class, take a picture. Share with John. John and I are both retired prosecutors. Prosecuted a number of cases. 3 things that you should know about the prosecution of cases in California. One is that all enforcement is local. It goes through there's no prosecutions unless there's DA. Secondly, is that all of the MPA cases and environmental cases are driven through task forces. 3, that whatever happens in one MPA does not necessarily happen in another. Each is different. For that reason, what we're doing with CASE is we're using Hangouts, and believe it or not, Google Class, so that you could create a virtual task force where if you had questions, you could immediately communicate with a prosecutor, a scientist, and ask for ideas as to what to do with the particular problem that's before you. Does it work? Yes, we're using it in compliance assistance on a marina where they have stopped truck washing on the docks and have also started using vacuum sanders in the painting and sanding the boats in the water. So it does work. We're looking for funding, but thank you.
And now we have John Stasny from the Navy.
Hi, I'm John Stasny. I'm from Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center, which is a U.S. Navy research laboratory. I'm the manager for several projects focused on improving MDA, or Maritime Domain Awareness. In particular, I'm focused on, we're trying to use basically data and technology to improve MDA, and I'm very interested also in Africa regionally. So one of the projects I work on is with U.S. Naval Forces Africa, working with our partner nations there. So just to go through these pictures quick, I'm trying to use advanced satellite data. So this is showing satellite imagery, synthetic aperture radar imagery, which has been mentioned already. And I'm going to talk about something that hasn't been mentioned, which is really, really cool and exciting, which is Sentinel-1, which is a European Space Agency satellite that's going to be free and publicly accessible. Okay, so this data is about to be free and available to anyone who wants to download it and go to a website. I'm going to talk a little bit about data analysis. So Analyze just talked about analytics and looking at data. So we're looking at how to automatically identify different behaviors and focus people's attention on what really matters. Okay? And then on capacity building. So actually working with partners to be able to use all these tools and all this data and get things done. Okay?